Welcome back to the new episode. Today we're having Mike Jones with us. Mike is a developer locally and met in Tampa, and he has been doing amazing things. I'll have him give you guys an intro. Mike, if you can just tell everybody, our audience here, give us a high level overview of your business, what it looks like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I have two main businesses. One is Elite Cash Buyers, which is a real estate wholesale business, and the other is DKC Development. We focus on local development projects, townhomes, and really spec homes over the $1 million price range.
Awesome. Yeah, $1 million price range. What do you think about that price range in this market? Because I've heard, what's moving faster on the market is something between like 700K to below a million.
Yeah, I think we're focusing on like high-end areas like Safety Harbor, Madeira Beach, unfortunately. That's going to be interesting to see what happens to that market there. But the townhomes that we're building, those are going to be in the, 7 to 900,000 price point. So I think those will move really quickly. But I've noticed, at least from our standpoint, as we're in the early stages of the development business, it's doing the deals at a larger price point. There's just more spread on those deals versus building, $300,000 and $400,000 houses, at least for us at this stage right now. So as we get going, we'll see, how that changes. I'm sure we'll change strategies from time to time, but for right now, that's what we're getting started on.
Got it. Because people doing higher end, yeah, there's bigger spread, there's more room to play. But also, if those like particular market is more sensitive to economy where the market shift, even 1%, 5% change, it can pretty much wipe out the most of the profit. So that's the
Yeah.
risk.
It makes a big difference. That's why, it kind of goes back to the age old adage of make sure you buy right. So it's like the two homes that we're building in Safety Harbor. We purchased a single lot. We're subdividing the lot. So it's for us, that was a good purchase, and there should be a good margin on there. So
So for your wholesale and for construction business, can you give us an idea, like the size of the business, the team, how much volume you guys do on wholesaling side, and what size of the construction you are doing on the development side?
Sure. So we'll start with the development company. Like I said, that's something that we've just started this year after we shifted from doing fix and flips. So we've got a 6-unit townhome project in South Tampa that we're building right now, and then 2 single family homes over in Safety Harbor that we're building. I have a few partners in that business, and most of our employees are trades. We sub everything out that we do. So we act as the GC and the builder on the project as well. And then we have a few salary employees that help us with back office things like permitting, financial tracking, things like that. The wholesale company, we've actually shifted downward a little bit. The last few months, especially with the market shift, we are primarily focusing on trying to do more with less. That's really our mindset on that right now. So we've got one in-house person that does a lot of our underwriting, our transaction coordinating, things like that, all the back office stuff. And then we've got 2 salespeople that are focused on acquisitions and dispositions as well.
How long after you started the wholesale business did you get into development?
So my background, how I got started is I actually started doing fix and flips. That's how I got into real estate. And I did that for a while up until like the end of 2022. So when the market shifted in the end of 22, that's when I, shifted gears away from the fix and flip model. And that's when we started getting more into the wholesaling. And then on the development side for the new construction, that's something that we've just dived into this year.
Were you able to shift your crew from fix and flip into construction, or is a different team?
No, it's a completely different team. A lot of the subs are just different. It's you're not using a remodeling crew that's going in and doing the whole project. So it's really a different sub base. That was kind of one of my first big takeaways from the switch is just how different of a process it is. You're dealing with the different types of subs. It's a completely different process versus the fix and flip. So a lot of the construction management and some of the basics are still there, but it's much different process between the two.
Got it. So we have 2 business. One is wholesaling, one is development. John, you can ask more questions about wholesaling. First, we talk about it one by one, and then I can ask more questions about development.
Okay. So when you started the your wholesale business, was it just you in the beginning and then you started hiring out people, or did you
Yeah.
kind of start with already a crew?
No, I started the bootstrapped way with me just putting deals together. We started then hiring cold callers and getting marketing going. Then I started bringing in salespeople once I couldn't handle all the leads. Hired my first salary person. That way, just come in, help me with paperwork, contracts, underwriting deals, things like that. So it's evolved over time, and as we continue to grow, we do not have this big operation that's completely dialed in yet by any means. I'm still very much in the growth phase of it. But we're continuing to learn every single day. To me, I really like the model of operating with a small elite team. I really believe in that, where everyone's a high performer, everyone's bringing something to the table, and we can just execute really quickly without having a bunch of different layers to go through.
How many different marketing channels are you doing? Like, did you just start with cold calling and like texting, and then started getting into direct mail and stuff, or what was like the progression of your marketing?
Yeah, the direct mail, I've tried that in the past. I've done PPC in the past. We've pretty much tried it all. I think cold calling was like the most reliable thing for us. So that's really been our base. And now we've got texting campaigns within our CRM built in. And then now we're looking at adding some inbound marketing as well, like PPL leads.
Okay, so most of it's still like relying on the cold calling and text messages.
Yeah, and also our network. We do a lot of deals with other wholesalers. So we've got a pretty large buyers network. My partners have the private lending company. So we've got a lot of borrowers that are always looking for deals and properties. Just from my network, from being in real estate for the last 7 to 8 years. And then we also have Investor Lift as well. So with us, I think that's really what we do best is sell deals, our disposition channels. So we're working with a lot of realtors. We lean on our network really heavy lately, especially in this market. So a lot of realtors that are coming across listings that, aren't really a good fit for going on MLS, they'll call us first. We'll make them an offer, and typically we'll allow the realtor to come into the deal and make more than they would of just listing it and getting a normal commission.
Right. So are you doing a lot of hotels right now?
No,
No hotels?
no. We've got a couple novation deals that we do here and there, but primarily off market.
Okay, awesome. Now, crap, I just completely blanked out on a question I had. I
Yeah.
had it and then I just like completely lost it.
Oh, good.
Okay, I got it. So now you said you like to build like a small, like elite team. Where are you finding like your people, your salespeople, and what do you think is the most important thing for employee retention?
I think retention is about leadership is really what it comes down to. And as far as finding people, to me, you've got to create the culture first. So I think social media has really helped us a lot with that. That's where, one of our team members came from. He just saw what we were doing on social media, reached out, said, "Hey man, I love what you guys are doing. I want to be a part of it." Actually moved down here from up in New York to join us. So, to me, it's just creating a culture and showing people what it is you're doing, how you're doing it, what type of person you are, and then they buy into that culture. So I think that's helped us quite a bit.
Yeah, I definitely have seen, at least from the people and people we've had on our team, that when you have a really strong culture, people don't want to leave. Usually you wind up firing them before they start quitting. So
Yeah.
the glue culture is super, super important. So for
Yeah.
anybody listening, if you're not working on your culture, you're probably not gonna have people staying for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, one thing for me especially is like from the beginning, I've always sought guidance. So went and hired a executive business coach right off the bat. And he has been someone that's been instrumental to helping me continue to just grow in different areas of my life, not only personally, but also business wise as well. So he's been just very helpful to me as far as just creating that culture and really focusing on leadership. And like I said, it's not this huge corporation or anything by any means. We're still a growing company. We're still in a growth phase, but it's just continuing to get better every single day is really what it comes down to.
So I want to touch on that business coach, because that is definitely something that Helena and
I
I
want to ask the
have
question too.
spoken about. But just to wrap it up, kind of with like the team, what is your, I guess, ideal elite team? What does it consist of? Like, are the VAs Americans, and like kind of what is the role allocation?
Yeah, so one of our employees is actually in Egypt. she started with us as a lead manager and was doing cold calling before, and she was a phenomenal lead manager, and then realized that there was really a spot for her on the acquisitions team. So I spent time with her, just really just training her and getting her up to speed, having her go through our training program. And now she's been killing at acquisitions. So really, to me, it's just I think the ideal team would probably be less than 10 people, and just making sure that everybody is hitting not only the company revenue goals, but also their personal goals as well. So that's one thing that we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll figure out, what's everybody's personal income goal and how can we help you get to that? So if we can't help people make the money that they want, then there's, it's just really not a good fit for either of us.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I've been kind of driving myself crazy over recently is getting back into like the details of our KPIs and then reverse engineering what each person has to hit their monthly income that they want to hit. And it's been kind of eye-opening for us as well as them too.
For sure. And I think it's once you sit down and go through that exercise and show people, here are the things that you need to do in order to be successful on a daily basis, it's tremendous for them. It's eye-opening, where it's so easy to just get caught in the hustle and bustle of this business where you're making calls, you're hitting your follow-up, but at the end of the week, you've got no contracts. And then here another week goes by and a third week, and you're working really, really hard. This is not easy by any means. Instagram is notorious for showing checks and highlight reels, but this business is hard. This is not an easy job. So I think just helping people reverse engineer it, and, what are the daily steps that I can help hold you accountable to, because you're telling me this is what you want to achieve, and I care about you enough to want to help you achieve that.
Yeah, because if it's just, getting into the weeds of making calls and always pursue the next call and nothing coming to fruition by the end of the week, it's going to feel like they're going to lose face of the whole business, and they feel like they wasted time and they disqualify all the work, the hard work they put in the past week, but they don't know, okay, everything will compound and eventually come into the result. But with the KPI and reverse engineer that John is doing right now every single phone call or every single offer, the follow-up you made has a meaning behind it. It means one more step closer to a contract. So if you need to have like 50 conversations with an agent for a contract, now okay, I'm on my call 38 today. I'm one step closer to a contract. And if you have 5 contracts to 3 assigned deals, you can tell yourself, okay, I'm 5 contracts now for the month. I'm closer to 3 deals being assigned. I'm closer to whatever number of check being made for the month. So just the whole process, like each daily activity now has a meaning behind it. And they are a lot more intentional and mindful for what they are doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about the intention.
So that's for the wholesaling side, and I do want to dive into development, since it sounds like you kind of like revamped your whole team for development from the fix and flip. So let's start with, how did you start with your first project? And also, again, the hiring issue. You mentioned all of them are subs, but I feel like hiring subcontractors is even harder than hiring employees for like a regular business. So how did you navigate through those challenges?
For sure. I think so. On the first development project, it was really about leaning on our team. We've got some really good resources that we have in our network that have already booming construction businesses that are doing what we want to do. So really leaning in with them and asking for advice, and what would they do if they were in our situation, things like that, and leaning on them for resources as well, subs that they're using. So that was kind of step number one, is really touching our team first and getting connected with them to see, where should we be focused on right now. And from there, just like any business, step one is creating the vision of what you want to accomplish. Step two is just really diving into now putting that vision together and creating systems and processes around it to help it come to fruition. So one of our first hires was a superintendent that is going to be on the site every day, making sure things are going accordingly, making sure deliveries are on time, making sure subs are getting there on time, making sure that the site is clean, meeting with the inspectors, things like that. So that was really one of our first internal hires. And then all the subs, it really is just like anything else. We got, at least 3 bids for every single thing that we needed. We interviewed people, hey, who are you using? Who do you recommend? We reached out to other local builders, see who they were using, and really just going through that exercise. I mean, anyone can go on the, local permitting site and look up, what subs are on which jobs, and you'll see enough of the same ones over and over to realize, hey, these are the guys that I want to work with. So really just going through that interview process, make sure you're getting multiple bids. And typically your cheapest guy is not the best guy.
You get what you pay for, right?
Exactly. So, we're very particular about what we want, what our expectations are. So we'll have a meeting with the sub before, they take on the job to go through our schedule, the budget, what our expectations are, what are the finishes. That way, we're creating a relationship with this sub over the next, however long. We want to make sure that we're both aligned and both on the same page. What is the draw structure going to look like? How are they getting paid? When are they getting paid? Things like that. So that was really the key piece to just starting and getting everything off the ground. From there, really, to me, it's like 75% of the work really goes into the front end. All the design, the bidding, the schedule, creating what is in your mind and putting on paper, working with the right architect, that was absolutely crucial. And I can see in this project alone where we ran into a couple issues that I just didn't catch on the plans because I wasn't far enough or didn't have enough experience to catch it. So now when it comes up in the field, we had to learn a hard lesson and make a couple changes. But, really to me, that's where the biggest chunk of time goes, into the planning and the pre-construction phase of it.
Yeah, you touched on several good points. I want to double click onto that. The first one you mentioned, asking for referral, and then can go on the public side to see who are the contractors registered on the different projects. So do you feel like people are more open to share their subcontractors? Because I know some people are more protective, because if their sub take on other jobs, they are getting too busy to do their job well. And another thing is, if you see a subcontractor whose name showing up multiple times on the public record, will you have the concern that they are too busy with too many projects, or do you prefer someone who is, like running a smaller project or some smaller business, but more personalized with their service, and you are like their top priority? What's your preference on that?
I think it depends on the project. I'm never afraid to make the call and just ask. If I see that they're busy, hey, how far are you guys out on your schedule? Most of the time when we're putting together the budget, we're still a couple months out anyway. So it's really just comes down to proper planning and communicating, getting with them ahead of time. If you're, went through permitting, now you got your permit, you're ready to go, and now you're starting to look for subs, that's on you because you're already behind. You should have done that a couple months ago when you were getting the drawings done and, going through the permitting process. As far as sharing information, to me, it's really a broken mindset to think that, hey, I don't want to share my guy with you because he's going to go to your job if you pay him more or something like that. To me, that's just like a broken mentality, and it's really a joke.
Yeah.
There's enough work out here for everyone. There's plenty of subs. I don't own any of them. I'm happy to share their contact with whoever. We've got a phenomenal electrician that, I can't stop giving out this guy's number. And so I'm referring him tons of work. He always makes sure that we're taken care of. And again, when he takes on our job, we sit down and we set up a schedule, and he's held accountable to that schedule with the pay. So if you don't get this done by this date, you're not getting paid. Or, if you're run behind schedule, there's going to be, a per diem per day. So everybody's aligned to get things done on time and get them done the right way. Get paid more that way, and the project is successful that way.
I also feel like when you are constantly referring people, right, like they want to make sure that you're still getting like the best quality work that they could give. So you keep giving them referrals, which is also just increasing their business as well and helping them grow. So, the more you give, the more you receive.
Yeah. And believe me, I've been through it, especially with the fix and flip. I mean, remodeling crews, those guys are a dime a dozen most of the time. So I would refer guys out. They would leave. They would get busy with other jobs, not come back. And it's like, all right, whatever, go do your thing, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to
find somebody
keep you
better
over here. It was probably not a good fit anyway.
Yep.
So
yeah, I totally agree. That sounds cool. Yeah, there's another question that I want to ask too, but I also forgot. Okay, so you mentioned like the reading plans, etc. Like, do you know? Because I know like people when architects send me like the blueprint, 70 pages or something, and all the nitty gritty of like each framing, each plumbing, like all those crazy stuff. I don't know what I'm reading. Like, yeah, I know the words, the letter, but I don't know what it means. So
Yeah.
are you at the level where you understand everything, or do you think it's important for you to know everything, or you just need to like know enough? What are some important things for you to learn first?
That's a good question. I mean, I think there's always still something to learn, right? I'm not going to say I know everything or I'm, the best at it. I'm still learning a lot about like the site work and things like that, a lot of the undergrounds.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's really about, again, leaning on my network. Who is somebody that would know? This print is calling out, it needs this much of stone and it's requiring this type of footer. I don't know what that means, but let me call someone who does. Hey, if you were to do this job, what do you think should be here? The engineer is calling out this, call another architect, call another designer. Hey, they're calling out this in my plans. What do you guys think this should be? With our townhomes, the architect really overbuilt some certain things on the plans. One thing being, for instance, they called out 5/8 drywall throughout the entire building. Now, 5/8 drywall to 1/2 inch drywall might not seem like a big difference, very minute detail on the plans, but when you go to price it out, it's across 6 units that are 2,200 square foot each. It's about a $30,000 difference.
Wow.
So, just missing that little number makes a huge difference. And I was able to catch it by calling the drywall contractor and saying, hey, what do you recommend on this? Can you get me a price on this? If this was your house, how would you do it? And they were
Mm-hmm.
able to tell me, hey, I see this is wrong. They're calling out this here. If it were me, I would probably go with this. So you're just constantly always looking for feedback and leaning on the people that are doing it every single day. Not many people are going to know the entire building process.
Mhm.
So in that instance, it's like that was a drywall issue. I'm calling the drywall contractor and I'm going to talk to 3 of them. Hey, this guy just told me this, that I should be using 1/2 inch instead of 5/8. Is that true? Yeah, you should. I would probably do the same thing. All right, great. I'm going back to the designer. Hey, you guys missed something on the plans. I need this revised.
That's really cool because a lot of times I feel like if we're getting into a newer field, we just don't know enough to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what we don't know pretty much. So are you doing that for almost every single step to make sure you are not missing anything? Okay.
For sure. I am very conservative by nature. So it's like we were underwriting this lot down on Madeira Beach the other day, and numbers look good. Everything looks good. I haven't built on the beach before. So there's a different foundation structure that goes in place. There's different piers that go into the ground. There's different costs to a lot of the different things required on that build. And I was like almost $50 a square foot off on my build costs from
Wow.
what it needed to be. So just doing that initial underwriting and just collecting as much information as possible. I think a lot of people are just like afraid to work for free. Hey, I'm going to spend 3 weeks on underwriting this deal, talking to investors, going through the plans, getting ideas, doing this whole in-depth exercise. And at the end of it, there could be an 80% chance that you have to walk away from it. And for me,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. As you guys are in the wholesale game, you got to underwrite probably 100 deals before you get to one. It's just the
Yeah.
game,
I love
so it's
that
like
so much. You said
being willing to,
people are afraid of doing free things. That's so good because they just discredit the whole effort they put into it if there is no result. Pretty much the result is the only measurement of your effort. But a lot of times we learn so much along the process. Although the thing we're looking for did not happen, but the thing you learn will never be wasted. You can always deploy them to future things. So I really love you said that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the times, like the things that make you the most money, you don't learn the most from. It's the things that usually either make you no money or lose you money is where
Right.
your biggest lessons come from. So if you're looking at things on how can I, like, what's my dollar per hour on this, as when it comes to the education, I think you're just looking at it wrong.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that deal specifically, we ended up walking away from, and I spent probably 4 weeks and just multiple hours just diving into. And does it hurt? Sure. But did I learn a ton? Absolutely. So
Now you can
as the
build on the
next one
beach.
comes up, I'm ready.
Now you know how to build on the
Yeah,
beach.
now you are
Yeah,
ready
that's
for the
it.
next one and prevent you from losing however much money that you could have if you got into it without
Mhm.
doing those due
Yeah,
diligence.
exactly.
So pretty much, like for each step of the process in the build, although you got the plan from the architect, you are the GC yourself. So you basically look for different sub and you shop around different sub to figure out what's the best approach of doing it. And if there's any inconsistency between the sub's recommendation and the architect plan, you just go back to the architect to change
Yep.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really a team sport. So you're just you're basically the conductor,
Right.
as the builder, the GC, you're the one that is the conductor of all these different parties trying to come together to create one outcome.
Yeah.
So
I would love to hear your advice on this because me and John were pretty heavily involved in wholesaling. And for our development project, we are the developer and we are hiring builder to build it. So because
yep,
that's the nature of how we do things, it's harder for us to shop around each sub and know the in and out. We have to rely on that builder, to be honest,
sure.
and have the knowledge to help us. So what would be your advice for us to do that way, but still do as much due diligence as possible?
Yeah, no, I want to say pretty involved. I'd say we're extremely involved right now.
No, it's interview multiple builders. Figure out who can you go through hell with, because there's going to be problems. Things are going to come up. Pricing's going to change. I mean, right now with this storm, I have a really big feeling that there's going to be a run on materials and labor.
Mm.
Costs are going to probably rise a little bit in the construction industry right now because of this. So being prepared for those things and understanding and creating that relationship of who can I work with? This is going to be probably an 18 to 24-month project. I'm assuming you're going to be working with these people for a while, so make sure if you got to interview 10 of them, 20 of them, whatever that number is, spend the time now doing your due diligence and going through, and finding who's going to be the best fit and then move forward from there. That's what's
Yeah.
going to make or break the project.
I love it. So from your experience, when you are hiring builder and when you are hiring sub, like of course we don't want to hire the wrong person, pay them the money and learn the lesson and hire the next one. So what is your checklist for due diligence to avoid making that inefficient hiring from the beginning and to save the cost?
I don't know if I have a necessarily like standard checklist. I think it comes down to like in your guys' position where you're hiring a builder, talk to references. It's anybody, it's the sales game. People are just going to tell you what you want to hear. So if you're interviewing a builder, get references from them and also go check other references. Look up projects that they've done in the past, call the people, see how it went. It's a lot of people, even in talking to subs, hey, have you ever worked with this builder before? How are they to work with? Oh, the guy never pays on time. He's a pain in the butt to work with. They never know what's going on. Everything's always a mess. You'll find out that feedback really quickly. Or, hey, that guy's great, pays on time, has a clear schedule, communicates really well, has a good solid team in place. So really just look for feedback on them and do your homework and, find out from the market. There's always going to be references out there. And if they don't have references, then that's a
a
red
problem.
flag.
Yeah.
You never want to be the pioneer. I don't want to like try this for the first time with somebody new. I want somebody that's been here before, that's done it before, that knows what's going on and can help guide me through this process.
Yeah, and reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really important because you find the person you want, but you always stay critical, not just take everything that person said. Always do your homework, do your due diligence, trust but verify.
Yeah. One thing I think that we do really well with our team as well, subs, whoever it may be, when we're putting these deals together or putting a team together, I'm always looking for alignment. How is everybody aligned on this to win? If it's the wholesale business, for example, why is dispositions aligned with acquisitions and also the underwriter to make sure that the deal gets underwritten quickly, that a contract is sent out quickly, that it's a lead is followed up on properly, Dispo's doing their job, making sure they're hitting all their touch points. Everyone needs to be online on that deal, receiving something from a positive outcome. So with this builder, for example, we'll do with our subs, hey, if you hit the schedule on time, hit the budget that we discussed, I'll give you a bonus. If you don't, you're going to owe me money. If you run behind on the schedule, I'm going to charge you X amount per day until you finish, and it's coming out of your pay because I'm not paying you until it's done. So that way they're aligned on making sure that they got crews there, making sure that they're getting the job done, and they're going to win. If they get it done early, great. I want them to win because that means I win. And especially if you guys are using private money, there's a cost to every single day. So if they can finish early by a day, what is your cost on private money for saving one day? There's a dollar amount to that.
For sure. So I feel like the most common way of aligning interest among different parties and between individual and the company is the pay structure. Do you have any other ways you can use to align the interest?
From a builder's perspective, or like with the
Or
wholesale company?
wholesaling even, let's say, because some roles you just cannot pay them a commission, right? So how do you align the interest besides the pay structure, either commission or bonus?
Yeah, bonuses. Always bonus. So it might be like for one example, our lead manager, she would get a base salary that she would, we pay her a certain amount per hour, but then she would get a bonus per every closed deal just for being a lead manager. So now it's like she is not just going through checking boxes for the day of like, oh yeah, I made 200 calls, or you sent this many texts. It's like, hey, did you follow up with that lead I sent you? Talking to the acquisitions team. She's she's making sure that the rest of the team is doing their job because she gets paid a bonus on it too.
Got
So
it.
just across the board, it's always bonuses, commissions, even if there's some sort of base pay, add a commission structure to where if they do more, they get paid more. If they do less, they get paid less.
What about your underwriter? Is that person also getting commission on a bonus?
Yep, they get paid
Okay.
on every closed deal. So
Okay.
that way they're underwriting quick. They're motivated to be able to do that. That way it's just always everybody is aligned to getting this deal to the closing table and making sure it closes as much as possible. Everyone reaps benefits from it.
For sure. And is your underwriter a VA or is an American person?
No, they're local.
They're local. Okay.
Yep.
Do you
So
think
it's
underwriting?
someone that I actually originally hired as an executive assistant, but she's done so well and has grown so much that she's really stepped up and taken on a lot more responsibility to where she's also involved in the development business and really helping me run operations across both businesses.
Okay, so she's like underwriting for wholesaling while being the operation on development side.
Yeah. So she helps me a lot with like the back office, scheduling, making sure bills are paid, permitting, things like that.
Okay. There's another question about wholesaling I want to touch on before coming back to development. So for wholesaling, you mentioned you want to do more by doing less. One is having an elite team. Another thing I'm thinking maybe you want to have a bigger assignment fee per deal as opposed to like a lot of volume. And that's kind of like how we want to restructure our business as well, because we are a huge disposition house, so we help a lot of other wholesalers to sell their deals, kind of like similar situation as you. But if it's a GV deal, the assignment fee is a lot smaller.
Sure.
That's why we start doing more DTS by cold calling, texting, etc. So I was wondering for you, how do you increase the assignment fee per deal? Are you doing anything actively to change that situation?
So the JV deals are a great example. One thing that will help do is go in and renegotiate the seller. So, we might have buyers that'll pay a little bit more than, most normal buyers, sure, in some cases, but not for all cases. So I think, and it same thing goes with, the cheapest is not always the best. The guy offering the most amount of money, what's his likelihood to close? I've had
Yeah.
buyers offer more money, bigger assignment fee, and then they bail at the closing table. So I'm not necessarily always going with the highest bid. I'm going with the guy that I've probably worked with before, that I know can close, and that is going to do what he says he's going to do. So I think it really just comes down to, making sure that it's what's your sales process. Most wholesalers that run smaller operations, maybe they don't have a ton of experience in sales. Let us come in and help you with that. Get me on the phone with the seller, introduce me as your partner. Let me help talk through the situation with them. That way we can create a win-win for everybody.
Got it. Do you like actively sourcing for wholesaler, like have someone reach out to different wholesaler, or it's more inbound lead?
It's mostly inbound. I mean, we do a lot of social media, so we connect with people through that. We have email campaigns going to realtors, reaching out to them, always looking for deals. So I'm always on the phone. Every time you see me, I'm taking a phone call. So it's really just like constant touch points and always being in the game.
Got it. And in terms of the direct seller pulling list and call them, etc., what's your favorite lead sources?
Absentee owner was working really well for us a few months ago. I've noticed now that's kind of taken a dip. I don't know if we just source too much of that data and we're just kind of cycling through it or what it is, but liens, pre-foreclosures, a lot of those are coming back. I think now we're going to see a lot of flooded homes in flood zones that people might not necessarily be able to afford rebuilding and there's probably a FEMA rule attached to it where they can only improve the current structure so much, leaving them no option but to tear down and build new. So what do you do for the thousands of people that just went through that situation? I mean, there's going to be a flood in the market of, sellers that can't sell their homes. So I think that's where we as wholesalers need to step in and help them do that.
For
Help them
sure.
understand what the process is, what their options are, what can be done.
Right. So for probate, and let's say for these kind of flooded houses, do you pull them from prop stream for absentee, sorry, not probate, absentee owners? Do you pull them from prop stream, or how do you get those? And for these kind of flooded houses, how do you source them?
Well, the flooded houses, I'm not sure yet. I think that, the storm just happened last week, so we'll see how that plays out. Prop stream, you can always search based on if the property is in a flood zone, I believe. So that's something to look at. But yeah, we primarily use prop stream to pull the data, and then we've got a couple different skip trace companies that we work with.
Yeah.
Got it. So you pull from prop stream and then use the skip tracing company to skip trace those.
Yep.
Okay.
I
And
would
then
also
one
say
more.
for the flooded houses too, like one thing that I think if any wholesale listen to this, like first you should see like how you could help them, keep their house and not sell
Yep.
it, because like they're not really trying to sell because they want to. It's more out of necessity. So if there's a way you understand the FEMA rule and any things that they could do to keep their house, like first help them with that. Even if you don't get paid, like that's not also why we're doing everything. So like if you are going after these houses, don't go after these houses only trying to buy them. If you're going to go after the flood list or whatever you want to call it, make sure you're trying to at least help them keep the house first. And if their last ditch effort is to sell it and that's their decision, then go ahead and try to help them get top dollar.
Yeah, dude, that's so spot on. I think right now, more than ever, we just need to listen to problems. When we're connecting with these sellers, it's like we're always looking for the problem. What can we actually help you with? If you're just looking for the highest and best number and you don't really need to sell, I'm not really your guy. There's nothing for me to do here. So
Yeah.
we're looking for the people that have a problem, that need help, and that we can step in and help them. So I think I will say we saw this probably like within the last 2 years. Last year, a bunch was in Lee County after they got hit by the storm. We ran across pretty much one of two different situations. A year post storm, most people had completely damaged home and they already found somewhere else to live and got their insurance check and were done with that house and just wanted to get rid of it. That was situation number one. Situation number two was somebody had the house, they got their insurance check, they hired a crappy contractor, and the contractor robbed them. So now they've got this crappy house and no money to fix it up and nothing to do. So that's where we were able to come in and help both of those situations, to bring in a cash buyer and investor to buy the home, fix it up, and really just creating win-win opportunities for everybody.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think the same thing will probably happen here in Pinellas County.
Yeah. So for people who wants to work with you, send you deals, other wholesalers wants to leverage your buyer connections, do deals with you, what's the best way for them to send deals to you?
Yeah, I'll give you guys my link or my personal cell phone number. I've got a Calendly link that, people can book a time with me anytime to get on the phone, talk with me. So we can post that below.
Yeah, if you want to just mention your number, because some people they're listening, they're not watching, so they can share the number as well.
Yeah, Instagram would probably be the quickest way to reach out to me. Real Estate Mike J on Instagram. That'd probably be the easiest way to get in touch with me, or Mike at EliteCashBuyersFL.com.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, and we do a lot of deals as well. Would love to partner on some deals by pumping some opportunities your way too. And also for the development side, as someone who is getting into it recently, because it's relatively newer for us as well. We're doing our first few projects. And when I'm asking, like this is about me, like when I'm asking favor from someone, asking for help, I'm always thinking, okay, how can I bring value in return to make me feel more comfortable of asking for help? So as someone who is newer to, this industry, like what are the values you think you can bring to those people you're asking for help from?
I think A, that's a really good question. B, anytime someone asks me that question, my response is always bring me a deal. That's the easiest thing that you can do to help me. There's always a list of problems that I'm sure somebody could help with, but the quickest response always just bring me a deal. Let's work on a deal together. And I think it's, you're a big part of this real estate network down here in Tampa. So it's like leaning on your network. If you call me asking for a contact or anything like that, I'm not looking for you to like provide value first or anything like that. It's like we have a good relationship where you call me, I call you. I know you're a good person and a great operator. I think a lot of people in this industry are just always willing to help
Mm-hmm.
because it's what we've been through the mud. We know how hard it is. We know what a nightmare it can be. So it's just like a lot of people are always willing to help, and
It's
just being
funny.
there to be that person to be able to help someone else as well.
It's funny because the real estate industry was like a dog eat dog world where it's just like, I'm not telling you anything, to now where it's like everybody's kind of like most people are kind of like-minded individuals that are willing to like help and share, and walk the walk again with each other. So I love seeing the change.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's been an awesome change, and I hope it keeps going like that. My buddy John Parker, he's a big one that is really just about that abundant mentality. My partners David Clemens and Caleb Delgado, both of them are always abundant mentality, always thinking above and beyond, not trying to keep anything to themselves. So I think those are the people that always win.
Yeah,
No matter what the situation is, that's a winner's mentality.
I love it.
100%.
I know John has been itching to ask you a question about the business coach, so let's ask that, John.
Oh yeah. So I really want to get into the business coach because something that Helena and we had at one point didn't really work out. Probably wasn't the best one for us. But I really am interested in what is it like. What have you learned from the business coach? What has been some of your biggest takeaways, and how would you say they've directly impacted not the mindset portion, but more so like the operating portion of the business?
So I've had multiple business coaches, and I think that is something that will continue to always evolve. I'm always looking for a coach in a certain area. So I'm married, for example. We have a marriage coach that helps us. Me and my wife, we sit down with once a week and we talk to them and just talk through certain things, and we read the Bible together, things like that. So it's always looking for coaching in every different area. It might not just be one single coach that is helping with you with a certain thing. I think there's different types of coaches when you are exploring of like, what are you looking for? Am I looking to solve continuous problems and continually get better and work on my leadership and myself as a person? There's going to be a coach for that. If I'm looking to fix this widget in my wholesale business and do something that is very like systems or operation oriented, then there's a coach for that. But that guy's probably not helping you with your overall life, or it's very, very few times they crisscross.
Right.
So I think it's first starting with, what do I want out of this relationship? If I'm going to go look for a coach, what do I want to get out of it, and what is my primary target behind doing this?
I love that.
That's where I think where you should start.
So you have different coach for wholesaling, development, life, etc.
I have one business coach for the businesses that primarily helps me with my mindset, the way I think, and my leadership, the way that I do things. And then, there's different coaches like Steve Trang, for example, is phenomenal at sales.
He's coming
So,
to our podcast tomorrow.
okay, nice. I'll tell him I said hello.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he's really phenomenal at sales, and he's a great business operator. So, having questions, being able to reach out to him, it's like, hey, Steve, I got a specific issue in my wholesale business. I'm trying to fix this widget. He's like, hey, you should probably talk to so-and-so. Oh, it's a sales problem. I can help you with that. So really, it's like, what problem are you trying to solve, and who is going to be the most qualified to help you solve that problem?
Got it. Okay. Do you you mentioned mainly help you with the mindset and how to be a leader? If you can give us some high level takeaways, people who are listening did not attend those consulting sessions, but they can also learn from your experience. What are some major takeaways you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think one example was we were structuring a deal and we were struggling to create win-win situations for everyone involved. It was really leaning one way or the other, and some parties were not happy about it. And if you switched it and gave that party what they wanted, really wasn't a good fit for us. So first thing I did was I picked up the phone, called my coach. Hey, what do you think about this situation? What would you do in this situation? Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what's going on. And really what it came down to was that partnership was not a good fit. It wasn't a good fit. Both of us didn't bring to the table what each other needed. both of us almost brought the same thing to the table. So being able to have that like exterior view and different perspective, we're always talking about frameworks and perspectives. That's really primarily what it is give me a different perspective. What am I missing here? What am I not seeing? Because again, it's so easy to get stuck in the day to day or the emotional aspect of what's going on. And you almost feel like boxed in a corner sometimes. So having someone that can come in and has a ton of experience and is a really good leader to be able to give you a different perspective, it helps you navigate through these different things. I mean, as you guys know, there's a problem every single day. There's always a problem to solve,
Yeah.
so some might be big, some might be small, but just being able to have that resource that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, here's what I'm facing. What's your advice on this? Help me get through this.
Got it.
Love
That's
that.
really good. I love it. So we're coming to the end of this podcast. There are 3 questions we ask all of our guests. I'll fire the first one. John can take the second one. So the first one is we ask, what are some things you do consistently to make sure you are in a good mindset? I know business coach is a big one of yours. Anything else you want to share with us?
Work out every single day. That's how I start my day. That's my quiet time. And then reading the Bible.
Love it.
Connecting
There's
with God.
something special about the silence of the morning when nobody else is awake.
Quiet time.
It's the best. That's my favorite time of the whole day.
John is the morning person. He wakes up like 3:30, 4 a.m. I'm the night owl. I go to bed when he wakes up, pretty much.
Yeah. Basically, the business is being worked on 24/7 because as soon as Helena goes to sleep, I wake up.
Good partners,
right? So the next thing is, you're in multiple different, you're in real estate, but you also have different industries, different, companies. What are you doing consistently to just like keep your knowledge fresh and stay on top of the market and ahead of the pack?
So I joined a mastermind, number one. So connecting with people that are doing the same thing pretty much across the United States, seeing what's going on in different markets. Even if it's a local mastermind, we both know James. James is a great local operator. He's got a great mastermind. My buddy Paul Sparks and Steve Trang, their mastermind, Whale Club. I've been going on, I think, 2nd year there. That's a great group of guys that you get to connect with on a weekly basis to just be able to either vent problems, get feedback, just connecting with other people that are doing the same thing. You're always just staying on the front end of what's going on.
Love that. Seems like the theme of this episode is talk to people.
Yeah.
talk to people.
It's a team sport. Real estate is a team sport. You cannot do it alone.
I love that.
Love it. And the third question we ask is for people who are just starting out, right? They start building a business with the end goal of scaling it, not just doing a wholesale deal here and there, not just building one house here and there. They want to scale it into actual business and be the business owner operating at a high level. What would be your advice for them?
Learn how to be valuable. I think that is kind of one of the biggest things I talk to a lot of newbie wholesalers as well. And it's, there's so much information and there's so many different ways to make money in real estate. I don't know what works for you. I don't know what's going to be the best path for you, but if you can learn how to find a deal and just be valuable by learning how to talk to people, listen to problems, be caring, be willing and resourceful to solve problems, I think those are kind of some of the key foundations, whether it's wholesaling, development, whatever it may be, that really apply to all of it.
Love it.
Yeah, cool. That's great. Especially learning how to ask people questions. You know how many wholesalers just text us like a list. They don't even tell us their name or anything, or just like, hey, John, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hey, who is this? It's always the first response back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you tell a story without a question in that story. So are you telling me or what? Yeah, for sure.
Give some context.
Yeah, exactly. Context is key.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, join us, and have this wonderful conversation, Mike. We really appreciate your time. And
thank you guys for having me on. It was an honor.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone, we'll drop Mike contact information in the description and how you can work with him, send him deals. He's definitely a go-getter and go-giver in the community, especially if you're in Florida. Definitely reach out to him.
Yeah, and if you use his calendar link, make sure you have questions that you're going to ask. Come with context.
Tell him a story and ask him a question. Cool.
Well, Well,
All
thank you
right.
guys
Thank
so
you,
much. I
everyone.
really appreciate it.
Yeah. All
Appreciate you,
right.
Mike.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you the next one.